Welcome back to our Tuesday show, the Sarah J. Pitts Business Development Show. I'm your host, Gordon Wat, and today we're going to be talking about. See, I got this book, right? She's the author, my co-host, my collaborator, my co-conspirator, my arms in crime. Would say, Sarah, let us know who you are, what are you up to, and what you've been working on again.
Yeah, so hey, I'm Sarah. I help solo business owners basically just to get unstuck. So if whatever they're stuck with, whether they're overwhelmed with all the stuff they have to do, whether they just can't think about how to move forwards, whether they're just floundering in whatever they're doing, I help people move forwards with that. That's essentially what the book, Stop Doing It All, is about. It's an international best-selling book, so thank you to everybody who has bought it so far. If you haven't done, go get it. You can get it at stopdoingitallbook.com. Yeah, so I've been approaching this particular business because I pivoted my business. We spoke about this in previous episodes. I pivoted my business away from the fitness industry into the business development world because COVID basically wiped out my business and left me so emotionally drained that I couldn't be around negativity anymore. So even just people who were in a bad mood, I had to leave the room. And so to move myself out of that situation, I had to find things that worked for me and just me. And I noticed that things that were stopping me from moving forwards, that I was trying to fight my way through before in the old business, I wasn't working with myself. I was working against myself of doing what I thought I should do. So that whole, just push through it or feel the fear and do it anyway, all that nonsense. I was trying to do all of that and I did get a lot of stuff done. But when it came to things that I felt deeply resistant to, I just didn't matter how many times I tried to do it. I just hated doing it all the time. So I tried to find ways of giving myself confidence and building my fun into the business and just getting rid of all of the doubt and all of the, I'm not good enough and all that kind of stuff that basically overwhelms people.
Right. Because business is personal. Whether you're on
Especially for
chapter,
solo business owners.
every business I've opened, everything, it's personal because that's your baby at one time. But you also have to take time for yourself. And that's what today's episode is going to be, is time management and the potent productivity method, how you can implement in your life. Because like Sarah said, when you're doing a business and you're going to get overwhelmed, if you don't have the answers and you don't have somebody that's been through it, like Sarah said right before I just came back on, she got burnt out. She basically needed a mental health care, and the negativity that comes along with business because you're dealing with so many different people, attitudes, cultures, mentality, phases. It doesn't make a difference. You need to have that personal space, and that's what today's show is about. Today's show is about, now it's getting personal, right? If you can see that, right? Because time management for yourself, your business, for your family, the loved ones, if you don't do it right and you don't have a personal approach to everything that you have, and you don't have, let's say, a methodology, you will lose out on everything. Give us, what are some of the examples you're seeing in your profession about how people are burning out in their business, and how are you shaping them to overcome that?
Yeah, I mean, I see it a lot that people are getting up early because they've heard some business guru tell them they should be getting up at 4 a.m. and, but then they've got so much to do. They feel so responsible. They've got so many jobs to do at home in their home life that they're not getting to bed until gone 10 or 11 and they're not getting enough sleep. But because they're doing so much, they feel like they're busy, but they're so tired. They're waking up more tired than they were before they went to bed. So
True.
really, the purpose of this particular chapter is kind of giving people permission to just do what's right for them. I used to work evenings. When I was putting myself through university, you guys call it college, I was working at McDonald's and I would do what they call the close shift, which was 4 p.m. to like midnight. So we would do 4 o'clock in the afternoon until the shop closed. And then we would do all the cleaning and all the rest of it after. So we basically were the night shift. And I would go to bed at like, I don't know, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes. So I would sleep through till 10, but then I was back at work at 12. And then I don't know what happened, But I think I kind of hit 23, 24, and all of a sudden I couldn't sleep in anymore. I was like, this is weird. If I didn't sleep past like 6, 7, and I was like, okay, so I need to get up early and go to bed earlier. And it was a natural shift for me. So, I was always thought of myself as an owl rather than an early bird.
Right, right. But a lot of it has to do with that changes mentally,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, I interrupted you, but that's the thought that came to my mind. When you shifted, what did you realize and how did that affect you moving forward with your business and your clients?
I was working at personal training gym at the time. Well, I was working at a gym. I was a personal trainer, and they started opening early. So at the same time as that shift happened for me, they started opening earlier than usual. And I noticed that while I had to get up and go to work earlier, it's actually quite a nice time of day because it's really quiet. And I'm a really quiet person. I like the peace and quiet. Don't like a lot of noise, don't like a lot of stress. And so I was like, oh, this is quite nice. But because nobody had ever, talked about it before, nobody had ever said it before, I'd never had the opportunity to do it before. And that reminds me of when I was putting myself through university for my master's degree. I had to commute a 4-hour round trip, and it was horrible. I was sharing with a lady who lived a few miles away from me. So I would drive to her house, get out of my car and get into her car, and we would both go in the same car. And she hated getting up early. And I hate being late. We would sit in traffic for 2 hours trying to get to this place. And I was like, look, if we get up half an hour earlier, we set off
10 minutes.
We'll get there in an hour and we can sit and have a cup of tea. We can have some breakfast. And then we had an early lecture, which forced us to do that. And after that, she was like, oh, this is great. Why didn't we do this before? Okay. Yeah.
How has that situation helped you in your book, making your system, making the personal approach to time management? Because for me, time management is huge, even though I'm always going at 580 miles an hour. That peace and quiet I have before I wake up, because before the kids wake up, because they know I wake up early, they find me. They're like, but that's my peace and quiet where I get everything done. What are some of your go-to time management systems, or how do you explain it that's in the book for your clients who's reading it?
Yeah, the whole point really for time management is it's entirely up to you. And it's not really about time management, it's about energy management.
Beautiful. Let's get into this.
Okay. So anybody can stop working when the timer goes or when the clock says whatever it's supposed to say, right? We can all do that. But whether that's right for you and your particular style or not is down to you. So our mutual friend, Jim Edwards, he likes to get up early. He likes to go out and work out early. And I get up early as well.
You're a personal trainer.
Right? So that's my little bit of exercise first to get my creative brain going first. Once my brain runs out of juice, then I go do something physical and then I come back. Whereas
Okay.
he's the other way around. He likes to get the physical brain going to get the creative brain going. So that's where your individuality really comes in. And you have to, as a solo business owner, you have to time manage according to where your energy is best.
True. Yeah.
I don't like the fact that my dog woke me up when we first got her at 5 o'clock in the morning. And that was the time I had to get up and go and take her for a walk. But it's become our routine because my partner doesn't sleep very well and he got up at 6 o'clock. And I was like, well, I can't let her bark and howl and harass him
Okay.
for months on end until she settles down. I'm going to have to do something about this. So I took the decision to get up early and take her out so he could sleep. And actually, I found it was better for her, it was better for him, and it's also better for me.
What did you discover?
Because she's a rescue dog, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
she was so frightened of other dogs, and she's a terrier, so she's, attack first, think later. So she would walk down the street with this whole attitude of who the hell are you? And
Right.
she wouldn't even sniff the floor. Like, old dogs sniff the ground. She wouldn't do that because she was so terrified of what was coming and where it was and what was going to hurt her that she would. And at 5 o'clock in the morning, there's nobody else around. There's no other dogs to hurt her. So it was the only time that she would let the guard down enough to behave like a dog. So it was much better for her.
Right.
And I found that the peace and quiet that I got, like you said, before the rest of the house gets up, by the time I get back with her, there's like 10 minutes, maybe half an hour that I can just sit, think in my own mind. I can meditate if I want to. I can just start planning for the day or whatever it is that I want to be doing until everybody else gets up. And so I found that it worked better for me that way. And my work is already half done. Starting earlier, but also finishing earlier. So 2 o'clock in the afternoon when I have to take her out again for another walk, my brain has stopped thinking about work now because I'm focused on her. And then everything else after that is family time, or it's, meetings, or it's whatever it is, so it provided a really strong structure for me that actually worked really well for all of us.
Oh, nice. So the big takeaway I get out of that, which is really huge for me, because after doing so many different things, like I can go from, let's say, I can get what most people get done in between 4 and 8 o'clock before most people get done in a week, right? Once you find that works for you and it starts to click, because you start moving around in different aspects of what you're going to be doing. Say it's your business, where you're writing copy, writing your emails, where you're doing Zooms like this, or you're doing something to make it work for a productive measure. Finding that energy and that battery, because like Jim says, once that battery runs out, you gotta like shut down. Because I shut down about a certain time. I shut down and I'll take a cat nap. But that's my management. Then you add kids, pets, dogs, deadlines, people that you are accountable to. Then it's like, so this is why it's so important. How important in your book, I see you mentioned time blocking. And what if I was a person that didn't know how to time block, what problems do you see that I would have? What would be the symptoms?
Yeah, most people can't compartmentalize, right?
Oh,
So I heard it said somewhere, I can't even remember who said it. They said all successful people are really good at compartmentalizing, right? Which means that you can do one task for a certain amount of time, then move to a different task and completely forget about the other task. So you're really blocking your brain out, focusing in on that one task and forgetting about everything else for the time that you are doing that task. That's what time blocking is useful for, because it doesn't stop you having all of those other things to do. It just stops you thinking about them for that period of time, and it allows you to focus on that one thing. For me, I like to get my content done and my creativity, my writing, my thinking done in the morning. But then my creative side, that's designing and, colors and pictures and all that kind of stuff, I can do in the afternoon because I don't have to think about it. It's less taxing for me. And then talking to people like this is enjoyable. And that then becomes my evening time.
because you're winding down already.
It's just winding me down.
Yes.
So all of my energy, all of my juice goes in the morning.
Right.
And then in the afternoon, I get to be colorful and playful, which is great. And then in the evening time, I get to speak to people, and then I can sleep.
Is it?
Yeah.
Let me ask you, let's role play for a little bit, okay? If I'm a client and I'm like, okay, Sarah, I'm coming to you as my guru, as my mentor. I'm having a hard time managing my kids. I'm having a hard time being creative with my funnel. I don't know when to manage my time to talk to other clients. I don't know where that create to be. Where would you start? Because say I might not be the only one thinking this, but I need you to help me out, right? How would your productivity method, how would you dial it in with those symptoms?
Let's be clear. This is where most people end up. It's not where they start. It's just where they end up. You're like,
cut that up.
6 hours in the day, Blocking is not a solution for that.
Beautiful.
Time management problem is a symptom of something deeper that's not being handled properly in your business. right? So I take
Right.
people through a system of making sure that all their foundations are set right and all their, they're spreading their time appropriately balanced across all of the tasks they need to do in their business. The time management for me is just a symptom of not being able to make a decision about who's doing what in your business, right? Because there'll always come a time when you reach your ceiling of capacity.
Okay.
One human being, you can only do so much. You've only got so many hours of
True.
the day. So if you're not being selective about the tasks that you're giving yourself and giving other people the tasks to do that help to move the business forward, but don't need your input, like scheduling social media posts or breaking up videos into 15 different clips, that might not be a valuable use of your time. That might be your entire business, in which case it's great for you to be doing it. The things that need
No,
your
absolutely.
are the things that need to be prioritized in your business, not the things that are most urgent.
Difference.
Yeah, I think
Big
that's
difference
key.
between urgency, important stuff, and things that are going to pay off in the future. Because those are three different things that are, all business owners, they need to get clients. They don't know how to market. They might not even know, like if you break it, like you say, when the whole big thing was compartmentalizing everything and focusing that time slot into something that's going to make it work. And then you can be done and switch to the next one. This was so key that you said, because I can time block certain things, but it's not jumbled up anymore, right? So a person might come to you like, Sarah, I need to learn how to write, say, copywriting. Okay, you have the answer for that. I need to know what I'm going to do with my video editing, or what I'm going to do. Who do I go to help me do my social media posts, right? How do I schedule it? I mean, all these overwhelming features. You have to understand what Sarah was, if I'm hearing correctly, right? How to make it personal to take advantage of the time that you have that's okay with yourself. Because business is part psychology, part therapy, and part and part money grab at the same time. Because I mean, with a lot of these things, and sometimes the money is not even the issue. The money can be your downfall, actually. How does one takes something that you teach in your courses, your workbook, your scavenger hunt, and everything else, and apply it to themselves?
Yeah, to
Checklist.
helping you
List.
do that.
Yeah.
Because
Ooh.
yeah, it's like the problems in business are never just the thing that you think they are.
Never.
By the time you come to
Never.
So by the time you're coming to these, I haven't got enough hours in the day, or I hope you can't do this, or I can't do that. It's usually because there's something else fundamental that hasn't been dealt with in your business. So for me, it always comes back to those fundamental things. And when we get the basics sorted out and we get those layers of confidence and those layers of decision making around the tasks that you want to be doing, the tasks that you need to be doing, when we have those conversations, that's when you can quite easily prioritize your time and time block your time and put boundaries in place and all those sorts of things, because now you're not overwhelmed with the amount of stuff you have to do.
Right.
So it's not, your boundaries don't get creeped out into, like, let's say, for example, you have, I don't know, the kids come home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you're in the middle of a meeting still and you're having to do work, dinner, or, and there's things that you don't get to spend the time with you, but your scope, the amount of stuff that you're trying to put on your plate has got so much bigger that you're
Too much.
pushing those boundaries out and out.
Yep.
And the only people that lose out in that situation are you and your family.
I mean, I think in that situation, a lot of people can lose out, even your clients, because they're not getting the best of you, right? If I'm focused on what me and Sarah is today, I'm going to focus on that. It would be disrespectful in a way to me and what I can give Sarah. And if same thing, vice versa, with anybody in business, because they're not getting the best of you, your creativity, your energy, and everything. And you need to have that personal, just cutoff line. We talked about it last week that led into this one. That cutoff line, so you can discover that unique flow. Because a lot of business owners will just keep going, no matter what. put everybody else on the side, right? I've done it. You don't get nowhere and you tend to lose what is important in your life. But it also, like you said, you need the trauma that you had to see maybe the validation that you're going to be able to do this to yourself or to be on top of the world that, yes, I can do it again. When in actuality, you're just burning your candles at two ends.
Yeah.
And I mean, even from your story,
Yeah.
yes, I mean, that's just part of being an entrepreneur and solo entrepreneur and a business person that want to conquer the world. You lose touch with a lot of different things that's important. Let me ask you this. How would you discover my unique workflow? What steps would you put me through in case there's a viewer that's saying, man, I'm going through the exact same thing. How can Sarah help me with this workflow? What would be some of the symptoms? Dr. Sarah, I like that. Dr. Sarah.
The symptom is always feeling like there's not enough hours in the day. Right.
We all felt that.
Yeah.
Guilty.
Yeah. So the process that I take people through is what I call the 4 L's of successful delegation. Okay. So they are love, learn, leverage, or let go.
Beautiful.
Okay.
That's a beautiful L. Like if you don't have this L, it ain't for lost no more. It's not for the lost, guys.
No.
It's for what Sarah said. Love, leverage, let go. And what was the last one? Learn. That's a different kind of L, guys. We're going to brand that. We ain't taking the L. You getting the L. Go on, Sarah. I'm sorry.
So there's always, when you divide your tasks, all of the things that you have to do in your business between these 4 categories, right? There's some that you can only do, right? So you on this show can only be us because people want to hear from us.
Correct.
Right? So this must be things that we love doing. It's teaching people, it's being the face of your business, it's being all of those things. But that's what you love doing. It's your skill set. It's what you're great at. And it's really difficult to delegate to anybody else.
Very true.
So I could
Very
get
true.
somebody. So those things are the things that you must protect with your time. That's what you must give your attention to during the day. They get the priority. Other things you can leverage. So whether you're leveraging a tool, or you're taking what somebody else has learned and applying it to your own business or something like that, that's leveraging. And that kind of gives you it gives you a jump start. So when you're learning, you can learn something that's going to help you in the business in the long run, like understanding what good copy is or being able to write decent emails, whatever it is, the skill that's going to help you leverage your business and move your business forward. You need to learn, and it's important that you spend the time learning that. But you don't need to learn everything, right? If video editing is not your business, then you don't actually need to learn it. Get somebody else to do it. And that means you can let go of it. It's not that it won't get done. It's just that it doesn't need you to do it.
Right, absolutely.
That's when you start to build your team, because you start looking for opportunities for other people to do things in your business. But when you prioritize according to the 4 L's, then all of a sudden, it puts a completely different slant on how much work you have to do.
Makes it easier. Yes.
Yeah. So when people get a copy of the book at stopdoingitallbook.com, I give them a spreadsheet that calculates which of those categories each of your tasks needs to be in according to you. So you get to input how much you enjoy doing it, how difficult it would be to get somebody else to do it for you, all of those things, and it will calculate which of those categories that task is in for you. I mean, it's a suggestion. You don't have to take it, as gold, but it's helpful. And it will also give you an estimated amount of time that you will get back in your work week for getting somebody else to do it. So you can see from all the things that you love doing, which are the things that you need to spend your time doing, all of the other tasks can be passed off to somebody else if you want. So how much of your time is being spent right now on the things that you could get somebody else to do? When you see that you could spend 4 hours in a week or a day or whatever it is for you, and you can spend 24 hours in a week passing stuff off to somebody else,
That's
and
huge.
how much of your brain would be
Huge.
free?
Huge. Even, I mean, that makes perfect sense for anybody that's don't know how to manage their time, don't know how to find their workflow. In that book, once you get it off, stop doing it all book.com, and you figure out where you can work with Sarah where, man, I might be looking for a way to get back 24 hours in a month. What could you do with 24 more hours in a month? Even like for me, my workflow, my process right now at this stage of my thing, what I'm doing, which is a lot of different things for different people, I can give somebody else my prompts, my thing, and it will duplicate the exact same style. And that's where the process of managing the time, because it's not out of angst, it's out of necessity because of the boundaries I set for my family. And that's what we want for you guys, right? Because you cannot do 16-hour days.
No.
You will burn out in your battery, your creativity, everything else. You will be unproductive, and you're going to get trauma and get overwhelmed. And that's what the book is all about. Sarah makes it easy for you guys, our viewers, even myself. We drink the Kool-Aid here. We drink the Kool-Aid here on the topics that we talk about. Even like for Sarah book, I have my own set of books, but with this book, she creates that system so you can take yourself out of the overwhelm and the busyness of the crap and get to doing what you like, because the direction, the path, the blueprint, the wireframe that she gives you, all right, that system where, oh, this is where you can delegate this task. This is where you can concentrate with this and find out what you like. She's not God. She can give you the direction that might help you in the situation that you're in now. That being said, how do you experiment and adjust when you're working with a client? Because that's important too.
Oh, yeah. Flexibility is a big part of it. If something's not working, it's really important to recognize that and move away from it. If working with somebody is not serving you, then it's really important that you distance yourself from those people. So
Absolutely.
everything in your business is about you. People get so bothered about serving their clients and doing things for other people that they lose track of who they are, they lose sight of who they are, and they put their own needs last.
Ooh, that is deep.
That's when all of these things, they start to go wrong, because you are not putting yourself front and center of your business, and it's not selfish to do that.
Put your mask on first.
You must put yourself at the center of your business, because without you, you can't help other people.
That's so true. And most people don't think of it that way, right? Because they're copying all these influencers, they're copying all these gurus out there. It works for them, right? Even like, I mean, where you have so many, it's almost like, let's say, you lose yourself to find out what they did wrong, and then it's nothing wrong with what they did, but maybe it's a different time, maybe a different situation, different personality, right? You cannot go do a seminar, webinar, go to rah-rah and think you're going to have it all in one 3-day weekend or workshop. You have to breathe it, live it, sweat it, cry about it, all that crap. They'll tell you the part that is going to make them go to the back room and sign up for this thing because they already built it all up. Now, that comes down to a lot of different things, but personally, right, when you start looking at business, like Sarah said, as you being that unique person, you are the USP, the unique selling point of it, because everybody's done everything in the past. They just put a little twist on it. You know, with Alex's stuff, with acquisition.com, right? His spin is really good, but he's got creative with it and he's failed 10 years in the business to become what is. And he'll talk about that. Every single person you've been in this have gone through the exact same phase where you're at. We just made it shorter, faster, easier in a book, in a workshop, a thing, so that you don't go. Because why do entrepreneurs do it? Is because we were once you. in your exact same situation. Different
Yeah.
time, different phase of life, different year.
Yeah.
Stuff's still the same, right?
I think sometimes, yeah, the more successful that people get, I think the more they forget how it feels to be in
True.
the shoes of somebody who's just starting out or who's
So
really
true.
struggling,
Yeah.
you know,
So
and
true.
they don't have that way of explaining things in a
True.
way that makes so much sense that somebody could just take it and move forward straight away. They almost
True.
have to spend 20 hours learning something and put it into a, a specific framework and mold themselves to that method. And I think that's the powerful thing about the potent productivity method is it puts you first.
Yes.
The method works for you.
Huge difference. When you use a system to work for you instead of you implementing the system, using the system, life gets much easier. That's what the beauty of all this AI stuff is. Because if you know how to use it correctly, I love it. But you still have to have the knowledge.
Exactly.
You have to have the knowledge. And even for other people, if you don't have the knowledge and you think you're going to have a massive result like everybody else is doing, but you don't have the knowledge, it's not going to work out. But if you take something like Sarah's productivity method and you apply it and you ease into it and you slow it down and you get over the warming, you deal with your trauma and your past trauma in all your businesses and you put it together as a whole, you come out with a big orbiting thing that you can mold. And that's your business. And who's the center of it? Is you. And it's always been you. You just get sidetracked by all these shiny objects.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody the other day and I was saying to them that the majority of people that I work with are people who have been in a business. Maybe they've been in an industry for, I don't know, 20 years, 30 years, something like that. And they go away and learn a particular method of coaching or leadership or whatever it is that they're learning. And they have all these new tools, but they don't know how to fit it in with the experience of life that they've had over the last 20 or 30 years of the industry that they know really well. It's just like they feel like they have to leap from one totally into the other, and they don't see how they're different. They just see themselves as being the new person that's not
Right.
been
And it's
teaching
not.
for that long, but they miss out all of this experience that they've had.
Right.
For me, it's the goal is finding how to blend those two things together so you bring
That's
your
the word.
uniqueness.
That's the one. How do you find what you know, what you've been through? And that's what it said. It's basically intrinsic value because you have so much value. I've been lucky a couple times in business, but at the same time, it's not really luck because you already knew the answers in a sense, and you just learned how to kind of like mold it into a way that worked for you and your clients or whatever else that you got going on. When you're doing part of the productivity method is knowing yourself, how to bridge these gaps, how to combine it all. And that's what this chapter was about today because discovering your unique workflow, having that time management system in yourself so you don't lose yourself. Because business, like Sarah said, you will lose yourself fast.
Oh, so fast.
I want to end there with that. Give me a story of how you lost yourself in a situation in business. Because this, everybody's going to go through this one.
Yeah, I can't remember the specific example that you're talking about. So if you want me to say something specific, you'll have to give me a little clue.
No, I mean, give
There's
me
lots of
one.
story going on in my head right now.
Give me the one that stands out that you just grabbed it. Give me that story. Because somebody might be able to relate to it.
Yeah,
That's watching the replay.
I think a lot of people go through this. They're so terrified of losing clients, or they'll just take anybody and everything that's willing to pay them, right?
Right?
They don't care that it's not quite what they were looking for. And they think that the diversity of clients is a good thing. But what happens is the people will always do what's right for them.
Yep.
Setting appointments, right? I learned very quickly from driving from one personal training client to another that if I wasn't careful, I was driving an hour one way to do an hour session, to drive an hour a different way to do another hour session. Do you see what I mean? So I was spending so much time in the car. And I'm like, hang on a minute. if I give people the opportunity to choose any time they like, you can guarantee they're going to choose the time that's worse for me. Worse,
For
absolutely.
themselves. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
because they've said it, I feel then obliged to.
Obligated.
So what I started doing was I would give them a choice of two. So I would pick the times that were best suited for me. And I would go, well, I can either do, I don't know, Wednesday afternoon or Thursday morning. Can you do either of those? And of course, if they couldn't do that, then we'd find something else. But most of the time, when they came with a choice of two, they would pick one of them. So,
Okay, that's a good tactic right there, because you just gave them, you can either take the red pill or the blue pill.
yeah. And I've seen people do it with the kids. You know, you're going to do this thing you don't like. You can either do it this way or you can do it this way. You choose, but you're still doing it.
That's the thing. It make it seem like it's their choice, but you give them the option. And you also, in business, you got to set your boundaries doing that, but they don't know, right? Because you're busy. You're a busy person, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur and like you have to go do other things. That time management, that workflow, the productivity method has to be on point, because if not, it's just a mishmash of crap. And it's like unraveling a ball of yarn. Like once it all tangles up, it's like, what? Then it gets really bad. That's
I had clients who would cancel their session while I was on the way to their house, right? Because something happened in their lives. They were terrified of it coming out that they had a personal trainer for whatever reason. And
it's crazy.
every time they booked a session, I couldn't guarantee that it was going to happen. So if somebody else wanted that session, I was like, well, I don't really know what to do now. So that's how I learned to put boundaries around my time and to
Beautiful.
make it specific to me, because I knew that it was impacting me. It was impacting my other client.
Everybody. Yes. Dominoes effect.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that's where we're going to leave off for today, because that time management, if we was to go over everything, right? Because next week's chapter is to let go or not to let go. And this goes perfect into the chapter, because we went over discovering your unique workflows. We went over the personal approach to time management. We also went over the power of time blocking. And it's all in the book, guys. Leave us a comment. In fact, we might give some free giveaways. Who knows? Let's end this show with this today. How did the scavenger hunt go?
It was so cool. It was really good.
Explain the next one.
I had never even participated in a scavenger hunt, let alone set one up online before. But it sounded so much fun. I was like,
love it. Why not?
You know, I need strategy, I need direction, I need my brain to get around it.
Goodness.
It took me a long time to get my head around all of it. But once I did, oh my God, it was so much fun.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. So
explain, give us some details.
Yeah. So I drew it all out because I'm a big picture kind of person. I need to know what it's going to look like before I do anything. So I drew out what the funnel was going to be. I drew out the customer journey map. So I knew what my customers would be expecting. They need to register, then they need the link, then they need this, then they need this. And I was just like, right, I need all these steps so that I can build what they need when they need it. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything.
So you used the customer journey as part of the scavenger hunt, and you gave them the prizes along the way?
That was just building the whole thing out. So I knew like how it was going to work.
Oh,
because that was the biggest headache for me, was trying to figure out how it was going to work. So once I got my head around that, and I wrote a list of where people could go to look for clues. And I wrote a list of all the things that I could give away as prizes.
Nice.
And I was like, right, okay, well, then if this is happening on this time, then they need to have this done by then. And, and I was trying to really just figure it out so that I could get the right bits going at the right time. And the people, oh my God, the people who did the scavenger hunt were like, this is so much fun. And the thing that I took away from it the most was that I created, in doing something out of the ordinary, off the wall, if you like, in my marketing, I created a memorable experience that connects my audience to my business. Right now, if it had totally gone wrong, right?
That doesn't matter. Memorable.
But if it had, we'd have had something to joke about.
Right.
Connecting me to my audience. But because it went really well, they were like, wow, this is so much fun. You know, they learned things about my business that they didn't know. So there was resources that they were finding that they didn't know about, like the YouTube channel and the Facebook page and the blog and, you know, all of these things. And there was training they could sign up for they didn't know about. And because they were learning about it by solving clues.
That's it. This is a system.
It was, yeah.
You created a system that made it happen. You gamified a scavenger hunt, but you also marketed it and sold using the gamified scavenger hunt detail almost like a challenge, but you made it fun.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a system that needs to be explored.
Yeah. And I documented the whole process. So I created a playbook that has the map and everything. It has all the steps that I did. It has the breakdown of when things were done and why and where people could go and all the rest of it. And I'm creating it as a free opt-in that people can just, you know.
Yeah, that's the best. I mean, it created a memorable experience for your clients, for your audience. You mesh something together that, and here's the coolest part. You would terrify them.
Yes, I was terrified.
Sarah is regimented. To be scared of something, I gotta give her props because I'm the total that I just throw the crap out there and figure it along the way. She's gonna be urgent, and she did it, but she broke it all down. And how can anybody find the link for that scavenger and that replay or that free opt-in?
They can go to potentproductivity.com/hunt, and it will take them to the wait list for the next one.
Perfect. Guys, if you didn't get your book yet, stopdoingitallbook.com. I'll put the links down below. You're going to see all the links. You're going to see all the chapters. You're going to see everything. Click one of those links. Reach out to Sarah J. Pitts with business development. I'm going to end it right here. I'm going to say, I'm Gordon Wat, and I'll see you guys next week. Sarah, end the show.
Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate you so much. Thanks for having me, Gordon, again. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
All right. Stopdoingitallbook.com. All right. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe.